My songs know what you did in the dark. So light 'em up, 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 light 'em up, 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 light 'em up, up. I'm on fire. So light 'em up, 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 light 'em up, 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 light 'em up, up, up. I'm on fire.
Yo ho everybody, and welcome to another edition of Yinzer on Hockey. Today we're going to take a look at my favorite players from each of the teams in the Atlantic Division. The Atlantic Division consists of 8 teams: Ottawa, Toronto, Florida, Tampa Bay, Buffalo, Boston, Montreal, and Detroit. We'll start first with the Tampa Bay Lightning. My favorite player from the Tampa Bay Lightning is Tyler Johnson. He is center iceman, right-handed center iceman. Undrafted player. Career stats: 389 games played, 261 points, a plus 61 for his career. He's played on a lot of very good Tampa teams, which is kind of the standard with Steve Yzerman running that franchise. They've been consistently a very good team. The thing I like about Tyler Johnson is he plays a very strong, steady, two-way game. Takes a lot of important defensive zone face-offs. Plays on their second power play unit, and plays a lot of quality minutes for Tampa. I feel like he kind of gets buried on a Tampa roster that has a lot of very talented players in Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman, and Steven Stamkos, as well as Andrei Vasilevsky in net. I think that if I was to make an all underrated team, he would definitely be one of my top 4 centers for undervalued and underrated. Postseason stats for him: he's played in 57 postseason games, 47 points, a little over 0.75 points per game. And like I said, just steady two-way player, plays a lot of hard minutes, and does a lot of very good things for Tampa. For Detroit, my favorite player from Detroit is Andreas Antencio. Young player for them, third year in the league. Has played 172 games, netting 76 points. Obviously, Detroit the last couple of years has been in a bit of a downward trend. They kind of got stuck in a tough salary cap situation, and I think that going forward, Detroit's going to do a lot to build around this youngster with their franchise moving forward, as the Nyquists and the Zetterbergs kind of age out of favor with Detroit. I think that Antencio will be a key cog for them in the future. Limited postseason experience, 5 games, 1 point, but like I said, with the downward trend that Detroit's been in the last few years, I can see these numbers increasing. Detroit will get back to relevance in the near future. I think they're still probably a couple of years away from being a consistently competitive team again, but Ken Holland will get them heading in the right direction. The Boston Bruins, my favorite player for Boston is Patrice Bergeron. Probably one of the greatest two-way center icemen that the game has ever seen. It would not surprise me to see the NHL rename the Selke Award to include a nod to what Patrice Bergeron has done as a defensive center iceman. He has played 963 career games, 734 career points, and is a plus 155 for his career. Just an amazing two-way center iceman. Playoff career-wise, he's played 112 games, netting 86 points, and is a plus 38 in the playoffs. I don't generally put a lot of stock in the plus-minus stat, but when it comes to a guy like Patrice Bergeron and what he does as a two-way defenseman, or a two-way center iceman, who probably has the ability and the capabilities to be a defenseman, you kind of have to look at the plus-minus stat and take note of what he does on the ice. He's like having a third defenseman on the ice all the time when he's on the ice. For Florida, my favorite player for Florida is Roberto Luongo. This is a guy that's played a long time in the NHL with a lot of not very good teams in his career. Has 1,001 games played, .919 save percentage, and a 2.49 goals against, as well as 76 shutouts. He's top 5 in most NHL goaltending stats, and I think he will eventually become a Hall of Famer, if not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Postseason wise, he has played in 70 games, starting 56, has a .918 save percentage and a 2.49 goals against average, with 5 career postseason shutouts. The other thing that I really like about Roberto Luongo is his presence within the community, regardless of the community that he's in, whether it be Vancouver or Florida. He's always had a noticeable presence off the ice, and he's a great ambassador for the NHL. For Ottawa, my favorite player is Jean-Gabriel Pageau. He has kind of been overlooked a little bit in Toronto, or in Ottawa, with the presence of Erik Karlsson and other great players, but Pageau, at this trade deadline, it looked like he was going to be one of the most coveted commodities at the trade deadline, and Ottawa chose to retain him. And I think that says a lot about him within the Ottawa franchise, that I feel like they believe they can build a team around Pageau moving forward, as they probably are going to move on from Erik Karlsson in the near future. Career-wise, he has played 329 games, netting 130 points, plus 18. Postseason stats, 35 games, 16 points. So he kind of hovers around 0.5 points per game, career-wise, both regular season and postseason. And I would venture to believe that these stats are going to improve as he gains a more predominant role within the Ottawa franchise, without the likes of Derek Brassard and other forwards on their roster. He will be their leader moving forward, and he will also be their cornerstone player, I think, in the near future. For Montreal, this was a pretty easy decision for me. It's Kerry Price. He is one of the best, if not the best, goaltender in the NHL right now. He's played in 558 career games, .918 save percentage, 2.46 goals against average, and In 2014-15, he won all 4 of the major awards: the Hart, the Jennings, the Pearson, and the Vezina. He's just an outstanding player, so consistent on the ice. Doesn't seem to waver or get frustrated by giving up a bad goal. Just, everything that you know what you're getting from Kerry Price. He's going to give your team a chance to win in any situation. Postseason stats: 60 games played, .914 save percentage, and a 2.53 goals against. Again, very steady numbers for that amount of games played. And I think with the contract he recently signed, I think it's a 10-year deal in Montreal. He'll be there for the future. I don't look for... I do anticipate that Montreal will go through a little bit of a retool this offseason, but no major rebuilds, especially when you have a franchise centerpiece like Kerry Price. For Toronto, obvious here as well, you got to go with Austin Matthews. I think Austin Matthews as a winger and his ability, as a center iceman, his ability to score as a center iceman is kind of not as common as you see from wingers. The ability to shoot the puck. In his career, he's played 144 games, 74 goals, 58 assists, 132 points. I think the area of his game I would like to see improve is his ability to make plays and create opportunities for his line mates. And I think he'll develop that in time. Still a very young player, only 20 years old. So he'll develop that ability moving forward. But just a great ability with the puck to create plays for himself. Postseason stats: 13 games played, 7 points. He didn't have a great postseason this year against Boston, only 2 points. So you anticipate that as he matures and as he understands the game a little bit better, that he will develop the ability to make plays in tougher situations. For Buffalo, a little bit tougher choices here with Buffalo. Obviously, you got the Jack Eichels and the Sam Reinharts, and all very good players for them. But I went with Rasmus Ristolainen. Really like his ability as a defenseman. He's a top pair defenseman for them, and I think that he's going to become more prevalent for them moving forward as their rebuild continues. They're still probably a couple of years away from being a very competitive team, but I really like his moxie. He doesn't seem to get frazzled on the ice very much, so I like that aspect of his game. 346 career games played, 151 total points. He is a minus 102, so he needs to be a little bit more disciplined in his own zone, but the whole Buffalo team, I don't think you can look at career-wise, you can look at the plus-minus stat for somebody on Buffalo's roster, because they've been, metrics-wise, they've been kind of dominated in the scoring department. So I think if you would look at anybody from Buffalo's stats, most of them are going to be negative in the plus-minus stat. No postseason appearances yet for Ristolainen or the Buffalo Sabres in the past, I think, 10 years. They've missed the playoffs. So hopefully he can help their rebuild moving forward and get them back to the relevance that they once were. So that's a look at my favorite players from the Atlantic Division. Let me know what you guys think. Who's your favorite Atlantic Division player? Who do you think can make an impact for these teams moving forward? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're just passing through. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.